Good evening, everybody. I'm super excited about this call tonight. I was running around a little crazy earlier, but I'm ready to rock and roll. And this topic tonight is really exciting because the fact it's month end, and I'm sure some of you are rocking out some new recruits if you are on our Leap into Leadership call. So tonight we are going to be focusing on informing and inviting, which is recruiting. So it's such a super exciting thing to talk about tonight because we have probably been growing our team all month. So it's super fun. So tonight when we talk about informing and inviting, we're going to start to look at what it means to create a team culture, and we're going to be looking at the difference between inform and invite, because I know early on when I started in the business, I was more of an informative recruiter, not an inviting recruiter. So that's what we're going to talk about the difference tonight. So thank you for joining us. I hope you had a wonderful week. So we will get started. So informing versus inviting, and I just basically have the definitions here so you can see the difference. So if we are informing people about our business opportunity, it means we are creating interest in the business opportunity. So you're giving information. So it's kind of like when you're talking about a rock crock or a skillet, you're sharing the information and you're informing your customers. Basically, you're informing them about how the product works, what could you do with it, things like that. So when you're informing people about the business, you're giving them information. Maybe you're telling them how much the kits cost. Maybe you're telling them about the minimum sales requirements. Maybe you're informing them about you and talking more so about you and your experience. And then the difference is with inviting. So inviting is actually asking them to talk with you further to learn more about the business. So this is where you would be breaking it down and looking a little bit more specifically at actually being intentional and asking them to learn about the business or to physically join your team. So that's what we're going to take a look at both of these tonight. And this is it's not really a long call tonight, so we will open it up at the end for questions as well. All right, so bear with me here, my lovely delayed computer. Maybe it's gonna go. This always happens, and then all of a sudden it jumps like 2 screens. So anyways, so it will be coming up in just a second, but so that's what we're going to be focusing on tonight. So now this month, obviously we know we have our March special going on, and it's kind of fun that this is our call because even though tonight's the last night, we are all going to have an opportunity to put some of these things into action from the call tonight. We don't have to necessarily, let those 2 or 3 hours go to waste. That the business opportunity is still not $39. So you can actually take some action steps and use some of this in just a little bit. So informing, we're going to take a look a little bit more in depth with informing. So like I said to you, this is asking somebody to talk about the business is no different than asking someone to host a party. So when we are informing people, we're not being intentional with our action steps to actually ask them if they'd be interested in trying the business. So a lot of the times, I think early on as consultants, and I think if we model this for our new consultants, we're doing a disadvantage to them in a sense. So we want to make sure that if they're being informative about the business opportunity, that this is taking place specific times in the party, because we want to make sure that at some point we change it from informing to inviting and being intentional. So when we look at home parties and virtual parties, they're really no different, okay? They're basically one and the same. So when you look at a home party, you're thinking to yourself, well, it's different because you're in front of the people, which is true. So you may have a little bit more interaction as far as face-to-face. But when you look at a virtual party, you're realistically, whether it's a virtual or home party, you're going to be doing some of the same things. You're going to have an introduction or some type of startup to your show to kick it off. You're going to have information throughout the show where you are teaching about products, giving knowledge about the products, informing people, dropping hints about bookings, dropping hints about business opportunity, and then you're going to have a closing of some sort. Now, in a virtual party, you have an opportunity to make this even more realistic for people so that they hear your tone of voice, they hear your inflection in your voice, they hear, how it's being presented, whether it's the beginning of a party, at the end of a party. So going live in your parties or creating a video that you use over and over in your parties for an intro and an ending is going to be very beneficial to you. But overall, they're both going to be, no matter what kind of show you're doing, we have relatively the same things. So when you're informing about the business, you typically will do this in the beginning of a party. So what you would be doing is giving a short intro about the business. Now, this is not like you're going to tell everything type of moment. It's kind of like hi, my name is Vanessa Boyle. I started my Pampered Chef business 4 years ago. And since I started my business, it's been such a blessing. I love doing this. You could tell by my excitement in my parties that I have fun with this and I have a lot of passion. So as I go about my show this week or I go about my show tonight, I want you to keep a close watch and picture yourself doing this. Is this something you could picture yourself doing? So it's kind of like you're dropping a seed, but you're not giving too much information. But now you have informed them that there is this opportunity for them tonight or throughout the week of your virtual party that they may take advantage of at some point. So you're dropping that seed. And I always tell everybody, you plant a seed, it doesn't mean you go water it and water it and water it, and it's going to grow on its own terms. So just because you plant the seed does not mean you're going to have a recruit that night, but you want to make sure you're planting seeds because that person that now you've informed a little bit and you're going to drop some hints with them, they may come back to you 3 months from now, 6 weeks from now, a year from now, but because you have intentionally informed them and intentionally invited them to the business opportunity, it's going to give you that open door that at any point they can come back to you. So your intro is going to be very brief in your shows, but you want to make sure you open the door to the business opportunity. You don't want to just say, hi, my name is Vanessa Boyle and I have 2 children and I live in Pennsylvania. I like long walks on the beach. You want to make sure you're focusing on being intentional, giving a little information about yourself and that you are planting that seed about the business. So what I would suggest everybody to be working on is coming up with a strong introduction. Now, the other thing throughout your parties you're going to be doing it as an informative way is dropping hints. So maybe you're at a cooking show and you see somebody and they are jumping in and they're really taking charge of the party or their station and you're like, wow, you would be really great at this. This is something that maybe they've never heard before. So sometimes we end up starting to recruit people by making sure we're intentional by planting seeds. But because you planted the seed, you've now intrigued this person to go, wow, I've never heard that I'd be good at something like this before. I never even thought about this, Or maybe you could say to somebody that's really participating, like on a virtual party, wow, I noticed that you really know your products. Maybe you should consider doing this. So dropping hints throughout the party. How do you know who to drop hints? People that are participating a lot, and again, we talked about this in call 2, which conveniently was me also, but in call 2, we talked about getting bookings. Will you plant booking seeds? The recruiting seeds are no different, all right? And again, you're not going to prejudge, but you're watching those people. Are they who are participating a lot? People that are really engaged, people that know their products and have a lot of product knowledge. Even people that are quiet and introverted could be virtual consultants, or they might just be trying to crawl out of their skin to get in front of people to have an opportunity to step out of their comfort zone a little bit. So making sure you're dropping hints. The other thing you could do when dropping hints is if you notice somebody that's really doing a good job, you may partner with your host and have your host also drop some hints because your host obviously is going to work with you. And what I usually do is give a little kickback that if somebody on their party does end up joining my team and they qualify, I will send a little gift to my host as a thank you for introducing me to that person. So if I know somebody, I might say to my host, hey, Sally, I know you're hosting with me, and of course I offered you the business opportunity, but your friend Sabine, she seems like she would be really good at this too. Have you girls ever talked about maybe doing this together, like maybe you joining and her joining under you? And then, of course, I wait to see what the response is. But then if your host is not interested, then you might pursue something along the lines of, well, you know what? I know you're not interested right now, which I know someday you might regret. I'll jokingly say that. But, you know, Sabine is really doing a good job. Maybe you should put a bug in her ear. What do you think? Do you think she's, you know, do you think she'd make a great consultant? And I kind of get feedback, and then usually they'll put a little like emphasis on the person too and say, you know what, they would be really good. So that is something you could also do. And then at the end of a show, we do what's called checkout chat, which we're going to talk about more in inviting. But at the end of your show, before you physically go to the checkout, you should do what's called a wrap up in your show. Now, sometimes this is like herding cats because people start to scatter, people are eating, people are socializing. So you have to have some type of fun way of bringing everybody back and making sure that they're going to listen to you. And this is the part that's really easy to lose in a show, and you just let it go. And I know some of you on the other end are probably shaking your head going, yep, I'm guilty of this. Because I do think that this is something that is difficult. Now, especially if you're not used to bringing everybody back in when they're having a good time, you might be kind of intimidated to do that. So some fun things that you could do to get everybody's attention is hand clappers from a dollar store. So you clap to get everybody's attention, be like, I'm clapping. We want to celebrate, you know, Sally's show tonight. So I just want to bring everybody back because I just want to personally thank all of you and go over a couple more things. So hand clappers is something great. Asking your host to gather everybody back. Your host will wrangle everybody in. So if you're a little bit nervous to do this, get your host to bring everybody back. Yeah. Save a prize for the end. Doing a prize drawing at the end and say, okay, everybody, we have a prize opportunity and you have a chance to get it up, you know, one more prize this evening. But I need everybody to come in and I need you to stay focused with me. Or I need everybody to come in and I need you to participate because I have something fun we're going to do. But I need you to really, you know, call out answers and you could earn extra tickets. So what I've been doing at my parties now is I started to bring an additional prize, and I do a prize with tickets throughout the show for participating, asking questions, things like that. What I also do now is I bring a recruiting prize. So what that basically is I place kind of like Stealing Hearts, if you've ever heard of that. If you did not hear Stealing Hearts, you could YouTube it. There's tons of different videos on it. But basically what Stealing Hearts is an opportunity for people to ask questions about the business. I also started printing off example paychecks that I have. So I printed off my first paycheck. I printed off some of my other paychecks like throughout the years. I think I printed off right now. I have in my folder, I have my first paycheck when I first started, my first year in the business, my second year in the business, my third year in the business, and my most current paycheck. And what I've been doing is bringing those along so that when people ask me how much money I make, I giggle, and then I make them guess, and I give them more tickets, and then I pass it around and let them see what I make, and I write down how many parties I did to make that income, or how many team members I have. So it gives them a true visual. And my virtual parties, I play a guessing game, and I put a check up, and I cross out what I make, and I make them guess my highest check. And then I always giggle because sometimes people will be like, oh, it's $200, you know? And I'm like, wow, if they think it's $200, they really need to join because they can really make a lot more money than $200. So, and don't be afraid or intimidated to ask your upline for their checks or asking other team members because, again, this is a piece of informing people. So it's that opportunity where you're giving them information and then letting them decide when you get to the inviting part. But you want to make sure you give information and let they know that there's potential to make true income here, that it's not just, you know, a $5 job. So that's something you can do. So, but anyways, what I was saying about what I do at the end. So what I do is they get tickets, and I give like 3 tickets for every question they ask me about the business. And sometimes you'll have that silent room where they're going to sit there and nobody's asking. And I'm like, oh, geez. So then that's usually when I'm like, oh my God, Betty, I usually pick whoever was the loudest for the night. I'm like, Betty, I know you have a question. All you need to do is call on one person because of course they'll come up with a question. I'm like, Betty, you definitely have a question. Betty, throw it at me, girl. Give me any question. And then when they do, other people start to jump in then because now they've sparked interest. So nobody wants to be the first person to do it, but then once they do, and then of course I give a prize. Again, season's best, you know, something like that. I'm trying to think what else I've been doing. Usually season's best. Oh yes, it has been season's best because what I have is I put on there, this is the, what the heck did I put in there? Seasons change, products do too. Now's the time to start the business. How about you or something like that? But I could post it. I made little things on my season's best that are cute, and then that way when they open it, they have the season's best, the cute saying, and then they have the brochure, the recruiting brochure, the business opportunity. So that way they have it. So even if that person does not want to do the business, I always tell them at checkout chat, like I'll talk to them more about it since they got the prize. And if they're not somebody interested, I'll just say, you know, I'd love for you to take it along, and I want you to think about somebody that could really use this opportunity and have them call me. And then that way it's a way for them to pass along to somebody else, but then also gets your name out there if somebody else is interested in helping or starting their own business. So again, now the other thing is at your closing of your business, you want to be specific. So at this moment, what you want to do is give numbers. So now at the end, when you're doing your closing, you know, you're wrangling them in, you're playing. I usually give my story before I play the game. So something along the lines is, you know, thank you so much, everybody, for coming tonight. I just appreciate so much that Betty had me in her lovely home. You know, one of the things that I always like to share with you is the best product that we have, and the best thing that I can offer you tonight, better than any individual products, is our business opportunity. And with our business opportunity, I just want to give you a little bit more about me. So like I said to you earlier, I started the business 4 years ago. And when I started the business, I had no intention of staying longer than 3 months. I was going to make some fun money, and I was going to be on my way. When my first couple months in the business, things were going pretty good. I made some extra money. It was really nice. And my director talked me into going to a national conference. And when I got to national conference, I understood the whole big picture. And when I came back, I knew that one of the things I wanted to do was bless other people with the business opportunity, because I saw the potential and the value in it of how it has helped and inspired so many amazing people all over our country. So I got to work and I started to share the business, and I'm proud to say now we are a team of about near 70 people. And I'll usually go into specifics and say some of the things I've done since I started my business. I paid off a $28,000 student loan. We paid for our son to go to private school, and I made that payment in one payment for $3,500. We bought property, and when we purchased our property, we've got it for $50,000. And now, and this is true, all of this, I am down to less than $19,000 in a year and a half in the business of what we owe on our land. We've gone to 4 vacations, and I go through the vacations. I'm not going to give you my whole spiel here right now. If anybody is interested in knowing any director, anybody that's a leader, it would be great for all of us even to share out our closings with each other, because I do think that there's so much value in listening to other people on our team and in this Leap into Leadership group, because we're going to learn so much from each other, and it's very important to be specific. So I used to really just focus on saying, well, I paid off a student loan and I did this and I did that, which sounds great and wonderful, but you want to also focus in on giving them numbers and making it real. But then at the end of my spiel, which is usually about 5 minutes, I then say, how many of you in this room could use $200 extra? And you'll see hands go up. And then what I start to do is I start to talk about the brochure. And on the back of the brochure, it goes into the 4 reasons why people may join the business. So people might join for fun money. And I'll say, some of you sitting here, maybe some of you are sitting here and you want just some extra money. Maybe you have that shoe addiction or a sports addiction and you like to go to see sporting events. Or maybe you're sitting here and you just want to be able to go and do some weekend trips with your family. And I kind of give examples so that they can make a connection about the fun part. The other reason, the second reason that people will join the business is because they are looking for, maybe a little bit more than just the extra money. They're looking for additional income to help with some of their bills. So maybe your mortgage went up and your taxes and you want to try to help. Maybe you're a stay-at-home parent and you want to provide some supplemental income. Maybe you want to go on a vacation and this is more of a long-term goal for you and you need to save some extra money. Or maybe you're looking to make some extra funds because maybe you need more than this. Maybe you have a big goal. Maybe you're saving for a wedding or to buy a house. Maybe you have elderly parents and you're looking for assisted living for them, so you need some extra funds. Or maybe you want to pay off a car sooner, so maybe you have big goals. Or maybe you're the person sitting in the room tonight and you hate your job and it's time to change that up. Or maybe you're somebody that wants to retire early, so maybe you want to turn this into a full-time career for you to do so that you have the opportunity to set your own hours and set your own schedule. So I kind of just take the brochure and I talk about each point, And for a while, I would just write down my little notes on the back of my brochure. And I started to do this in my virtual parties. I literally show the brochure and I go through it at the end of the party. And I thank everybody and go through this. And then I play a game. And that's when I go into the ticket game with, earning that additional prize. So you want to make sure that when you're doing this, you're being intentional. Now we're going to look at the inviting part. And this is when I basically was talking about some of this, but you're going to go into the checkout chat. So once you're done the game and you give all your skill and you relate it to everybody, make connections, when you get to the checkout chat, this is the part you individually ask each person what intrigues them about the business. Have you ever thought about becoming a Pampered Chef consultant? What would you do if you became a consultant? What would you do with your first paycheck? If you were to become a consultant, what kind of consultant would you be? Would you do virtual parties or home? What you're doing is striking up the conversation individually with each person and finding out. And when they start saying, yes, I would spend the $300 doing this, I think I would be a virtual consultant. It means that they're thinking about this. So if somebody says to you flat out and won't even answer the questions, no, I'm not interested, it probably means they're not interested, and that's okay. Not everybody's going to join your team. But if you have people that are starting to answer the questions, it means that you want to either get them signed up that night if they're really ready and interested and you seem intrigued. If your host is ready, sign them up, sign this person up underneath them. And if they're not, then what you could do is what's called a 24-hour call. And what that would mean is you're going to call them 24 hours later, and you're going to say something along the lines of, hey, Sally, this is Vanessa with Pampered Chef. I wanted to call to thank you for attending Betty's party last night. Did you have fun? And then, of course, they'll say yes. Oh, my God, I'm so glad you had fun. It was so nice meeting everybody. I had such a great time. And Betty's house was just such a nice house and such a nice, warming atmosphere with all of her wonderful guests. So I know I mentioned this to you last night, Betty, or Sally, but I just wanted to let you know that since last night you've been on my mind. I really, truly think you'd be a fabulous consultant. Now, of course, I would be obviously talking, adding more details to this a little bit, but I want to let them know that they've been on my mind. I really think that they'd be a great consultant, and then I kind of just ask them what they think. So these are those people that are talking about the business and answering your questions, but maybe won't sign that night. They're kind of like a fence sitter. You want to follow up with them in 24 hours because that's usually when it's fresh in their mind, because once a week hits, then what's going to happen is 90 other things have happened, and now this is way too much for them to think about. So you want to get them when it's fresh. Now, say that there's somebody and they're like, you know what, I don't know, I'm not really interested in the business right now, but I'd like to book a party. Same concept. You can call them, do the same spiel that I just mentioned, but this time you're kind of confirming their date and their time of their party, and then you kind of schmooze it again and say, I just want to remind you that this would be, that you would really be great at this. So I wanted to let you know that this opportunity, if you wanted to, we could actually turn your party into your launch party. So instead of me making the money off of it, we could get you your first paycheck off of your own party, and you would be the host of the party. So sometimes this is very appealing to people, and they may decide to join, and then they'll do their own show. Some people are very comfortable and they'll do their own launch party. Other people, they may want you to come with them and help them do their party. And that's personally going to be up to you and how you want to run your team and trainings and everything like that. But it's an opportunity that if they aren't interested that night, the night of the party, but then you start to talk to them further, you've confirmed their date, and you discover, maybe they would be interested, make sure you're offering that, because a lot of times you're going to offer the business opportunity to your host probably about 5 times before they join, and it might be over the course of a couple of years even, because you might have a host that does join a couple of years later after they hosted 3 and 4 parties. So make sure you're always offering it and making sure that anybody that does book a party, that they do know that they could start their own business and do their own launch party. So that's very important. Now, our call to action for this week's call, because really it's nothing, there's no secret magic to building your team. You're informing throughout your party, and then at the checkout chat, you're going to officially invite them. There's no magic wand, just like there's no booking fairy that comes around and gives all of us our amazing bookings in our calendars. We all have to go to work every month the same way, no matter what level we are in the company. It's the same thing with recruiting. When you're building a team, you have to be intentional on offering the business to everybody. When they say no to the business, that's when you have the opportunity to offer the booking. So start by asking them to join your team, and then if they tell you no, again, you could ask them, does this mean no, not right now, or no forever? You want to make sure that just like you do with your bookings, you're creating a log of this, you're doing this with your recruit leads as well. And then it's just like I said, it's no secret. It's a numbers game. You're going to make sure you ask enough people So just like in bookings, you'll probably ask 10 people before one person says yes. With recruiting, it might be more like asking 15 before one person says yes. And then what's going to happen is if you you have to set the leadway for your team. So you are going to lead by example. So if you're not recruiting, your team is not going to recruit. If you're recruiting, your team is going to recruit. So they are modeling everything you do. So they're like, and I don't want to give it like a scenario like a child, but in a sense, like children watch everything that adults do and they mimic it. So in this case right now, your team members are going to watch everything you do and mimic what you do. So you got to lead by example with your bookings, your calendars, everything that you do, they're going to watch you and they're going to replicate that because that's what they think they're supposed to do. So if you want to build a strong culture, you got to set the way and you got to start the movement. So our call to action tonight is going to be that we want you to create a message that you're going to send out to potential recruit leads or people that you think might be good at the business. So we want you to develop an actual message and then that same message is something you're going to use on your virtual parties. We also kind of want you to develop, if you're going to be doing home parties, come up with what your beginning and your ending is going to sound like. Post them on our Leap in the Leadership page so that way we can help each other grow. I'm also going to post this homework page, obviously, for everybody so that you know what your call to action is. And we also have a playback that we want you to listen to. It's from Genevieve Black and Brenda Coffey, and it's all about recruiting. So it's a great call for you to listen to and take notes. So what you're going to do is after you listen to the playback, we want you to post 3 takeaways that you got from it. And then post what message you're going to be sending. So just like I said from up above, we want to see what you're sending to people and post your results. So we want you to track it. So we would love to see some of you add some new team members because if you are in our Leap in the Leadership, it means that you are ready to move forward and to work towards the next level of leadership, whether it be a senior consultant, a team leader, a director, advanced director, and on up the ladder. So we are here to support you, but we would love for you to post all of these things. This is going to be your homework assignment. And don't be afraid to reach out to people. You got to step out of your comfort zone because in order for you to grow, you're going to have to get into a position of being uncomfortable. And until you get comfortable with this, and then it's going to just be a part of the norm. Just like when you ask people to host parties, just like, anything time you start something new, it's scary. But we want you to do it scared because if you don't do it scared, you're always going to wonder what if. And we don't want you to wonder what if. We want you to excel and we want you to never worry about like, well, I didn't try it. So maybe if I would have did that. We don't want any what ifs. We want you to put yourself out there and to give it your best because you never know where it's going to lead you. And some of my team has already seen this video, but if you want to start a culture of recruiting and you want to move forward with your movement, set it up by example. But here's a good one for you to watch. Hopefully this usually takes a minute or two to load, but it's a little video and it just cracks me up. But at the same time, it's such a true example of leadership. So I want you guys to take a look at this. Oh, sorry. Ah. Oh, we can't hear it, but hold on. Let me try. Oh, sorry, guys. I'm sorry. That's what I was just looking for. I'm like, I wonder if you could hear it. Hold on. Bear with me. Let me start it over, but I forget how I share it. Jana, do you know how to share it? Unmute yourself and tell me. I don't know how to share the sound.
I don't know how to either. I feel like we tried this with my team and we couldn't get it to work either, so I'm not exactly sure.
Oh, I just figured out. It says more, and then it says share computer sound. So let me know if it works now.
Okay, perfect.
I think it should be on. Let me just hit the play button now.
If you've learned a lot about leadership and making a movement, then let's watch a movement happen. Start
Is it working, Jana?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. I just wanted to stop to make sure everybody could hear it. Okay, we're good then. Sorry, guys.
To finish in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons. First, of course, a leader needs the guts to stand alone and look ridiculous. But what he's doing is so simple, it's almost instructional. This is key. You must be easy to follow. Now here comes the first follower with a crucial role. He publicly shows everyone else how to follow. Notice how the leader embraces him as an equal. So it's not about the leader anymore. It's about them, plural. Notice how he's calling to his friends to join in. So it takes guts to be a first follower. You stand out and you brave ridicule yourself. Being a first follower is an underappreciated form of leadership. The first follower transforms a lone nut into a leader. If the leader is the flint, the first follower is the spark that really makes the fire. Now here's the second follower. This is a turning point. It's proof the first has done well. Now it's not a lone nut and it's not two nuts. 3 is a crowd and a crowd is news. A movement must be public. Make sure outsiders see more than just the leader. Everyone needs to see the followers because new followers emulate followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, then 3 more immediately. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point, and now we have a movement. As more people jump in, it's no longer risky. If they were on the fence before, there's no reason not to join in now. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, and they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. And over the next minute, you'll see the rest who prefer to stay part of the crowd, because eventually they'd be ridiculed for not joining. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how a movement is made. So let's recap what we've learned. If you are a version of the shirtless dancing guy, all alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals, making everything clearly about the movement, not you. Be public, be easy to follow. But the biggest lesson here, did you catch it? Leadership is overglorified. Yes, it started with the shirtless guy, and he'll get all the credit, but you saw what really happened. It was the first follower that transformed a lone nut into a leader. There's no movement without the first follower. See, we're told that we all need to be leaders, but that would be really ineffective. The best way to make a movement, if you really care, is to courageously follow and show others how to follow. When you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first person to stand up and join in.
Okay, so moral of that is don't be afraid to stand up and be that lone nut because you are going to lead by example. So I'm going to open it up now for any questions. And we have a couple of our actually we have all of us, I think, almost on here tonight. So any of us can jump on. So feel free, anybody jump on. Any questions, comments, feel free. Hi, Brent. For those of you that didn't know, Brent was at home office last week, weren't you? And it was his birthday, and I saw them recognizing you. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, pretty embarrassing. It was pretty great.
Hey, that says a lot, though, that they recognized you for your birthday. That's amazing. We must have a quiet crew tonight here. I don't know if anybody's trying to unmute. Maybe that's why. Carrie, I thought for sure you'd have something.
It's the end of the month. They're all trying to get their stuff in.
Oh, I got mine in. Woo! Yeah. But
You beat it.
I've got commotion around me, so I'm muting because there's so much talk and noise. So.
All right. Well, if nobody has questions, I guess we're good then until next week or next time, which is the next, 2 weeks from now, right, Jana?
Yep, and it'll be Brent's call because we'll be in Hawaii.
We'll be thinking about you, Brent, maybe next year. Woo! Who's going to Disney next year?
Oh, I'm going to Disney. It's happening.
That's right. That's the good mindset you need to have.
Oh, it's happening. I'm watching it like a hawk.
Don't worry, everybody. Jan and I will send you pictures of us at the bar at Hawaii. All right. Well, have a good week, everybody.
You too. Thanks, Vanessa.
Yep. See ya.
Thank you.